sharing that with each of your kids, but doing it in a way that's still inclusive to all cultures. And that's not easy to do. It's very, very challenging, but still holding on to that value and sharing the richness of who you are as well. So I agree, modeling it and opening your eyes to the world, but doing it in a way that's inclusive. I think you have the right balance of so many qualities, and the energy balance with calmness, balance with insight. It's just wonderful. I really feel like we're very fortunate to have you as a teacher.
Well, Mr. Lee, I did want to start with appreciation. First of all, you have better hair than Giselle. Every day, the conversation when I'm trying to braid her hair is around, can you make my braids like Mr. Lee? I don't know how to do French braid, so I do not appreciate it.
That's Lisa.
Thank you. I must also say, you have, everything everybody has said is absolutely true, but you have included and introduced verbiage in my child that I find amazing. The idea of being a scholar, the idea of being, when Giselle says, well, Mr. Lee expects more from me because he thinks I'm a leader, and she reflects upon the fact that what she did at that moment was not leader-like. We can't thank you enough, because very often, many children, girls, kids of color, deal with issues of being a certain way and being called very bossy or very strong or very headstrong. So I appreciate you instilling values such as being a leader, being an athlete, being responsible for your actions, and being a scholar, which is very, very important to us and where we look at education. Giselle often comes and says to us, education is very important because Mr. Lee's parents did not have a very good chance to have as much education as they wanted to. And so it has brought a perspective to us and to her where she's valuing her education. She loves her class, she loves your lessons. I think your spirit comes through. I think the fact that children, at many times, we host so many sleepovers, and every time they say, Mr. Lee never sends anyone to the office. And I can't tell you, that is such a different perspective, because many times kids are sent out. You know, you go to schools, you see boys just sitting out, and 9 times out of 10 they're black boys just sitting outside on a bench, and I appreciate
Well,
that.
I wouldn't say that's not true.
Can I finish my appreciation? So thank you for being her teacher, and thank you for sharing your amazing family with us. And I had the pleasure of meeting Felicia yesterday, so it's such a pleasure and welcome. And thank you again for all the growth that our children have seen over this 4th grade. Thank you very much.
And you have excellent taste because she's a capoeirista.
All right, so anybody has anything else to say? Otherwise, I'm going to open the food and let the kiddos.
Yeah, let me throw out something.
Okay. By the way, this is Jonel's dad, Dr. Finest Studio. And I have to say, he will never say this, but in education, in special education, there was a landmark case that talks about how black boys and black kids cannot be tested because in the early 70s, what was happening is in public education, you had you had this over-identification of black children into special education. So he was part of the San Francisco State team that actually litigated on behalf of black children across the state of California. And to this day, there are very specific instances when children can be tested for purposes of being identified, having special needs, instead of that over-inclusive identification. So,
In the 70s, there was a case of Larry P. versus State of California.
Anyway, so his background is education, and I'll let him speak.
Having worked with thousands of people in the classroom and the courtroom, and having coached over a period of time, there are certain things that I look for that help to develop trust in people. And it's not always easy to see, and it takes a while to pick it up in a lot of cases. But there's one element, one level that I always look at, because I'm a keen observer also, that never lies. It always tells the truth, and that is the way kids relate to the teacher and the way they relate to grown-ups. It's a truthful thing, and I think that after a short period of time, you begin to pick it up because kids start talking about the teacher, and not always on a great term, but they all, they won't let me do this, they won't let me do that. And I think when you examine it a little closer, you begin to see that there is a special kind of relationship between people, and especially between children and grown-ups. And the key with this happens to be young people who are very honest and who operate within that level. I haven't known Mr. Lee for too long, but I've observed that the way he responds to kids, the way they respond to him, and I think that's the beginning. I think that's the beginning. That's really great.
Right. Any last words? I feel a little out of the loop if I don't. But, I was thinking, what would I say? And as everyone spoke, you want to go sit, Daddy? As everyone spoke, there was passion and exposure and this open-mindedness and all the things that he definitely brought into my life. And as you said, honesty. He is the most honest person I've ever known. And kids know that, and kids read that so quickly. And that is something I appreciate so very much. And every kid, you talk about how kids are so honest and so real, and we kind of lose that as we grow up sometimes until other adults bring that back to us. And thank you for that.
CJ, you don't have to say anything,
So I really appreciate all the comments. It means a lot to me. I think teaching is a rewarding job, and it's also a thankless job at times. And I think I teach because I love kids. And that's always been the way. I really. And I think about there's a lot of different things I could do, but one of the things that brings me the most joy is to spend time with kids. Is to really be around kids and build them and help them feel more confident in who they are. And I think about young ladies like this or young men like this who I never had the honor of teaching. But when I see them, I still want to connect with them. I want them to know that I care about their journey, that I'm there, and so it means a lot to me. I mean, this class does have a lot of energy. And it's funny because I said to Hugh recently, I said, starting off this year, it was a tough start, and I didn't know how this year would end, and I didn't know and I'm not I don't think of myself as we talk through problems. I'm not a disciplinarian in the way that I lay down the law. Even though each one of those students that said I think about tough moments when we had in the classroom. But I really pushed them. But I'm glad that they don't see me in that light. Because there was moments that were tough with all of them. And where I felt like they had to accomplish something or get over something that was holding them back. And but I'm glad that they see me in the light that I want them to see me in. And I always felt like more than anything, I'm a coach of people, and I like to, and I want them to feel that in the end, that I'm a coach, that they can always come back to me and always tell me the real story of who they are and where they are and what they're dealing with. And I'm always going to be fair and open, and I'm going to give them sound advice from wherever they are. That won't be judgmental, but that will be there will be, you know, from an experienced life where I've made my own mistakes and gone my own paths too. So so thank you. So it means a whole lot.
Totally.